And now I want to invite our guest to the stage. I wanted to introduce you, but then I thought, no, I won't introduce you. I want you to really get to know our audience. Introduce yourself. Tell us how old you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Hello everyone again. My name is Lili. I'm 29 years old. I actually moved to Kazan a year ago from Naberezhny Chelny. And I moved because I come from a small town and it's not really accommodating for people with disabilities. I moved by myself and lived alone for about 6 months because I wanted to feel independent, an independent, self-sufficient woman, which she managed to achieve. And then my brother came to live with me. Right now, I live with my brother. I'm a blogger, and I run my own channel. I've been blogging for 11 years. Oh, I started out as a beauty blogger, and then gradually started running my channel differently because people began to take an interest in me. So it's not just about makeup and cosmetics, but about me. And I slowly started to run my blog as lifestyle. Now I am also talking more about the topic of disability, about inaccessible environments, about such problems. And it's definitely humorous content because I love dark humor. I just adore dark humor.
These are two speakers who love dark humor. And for me, this content is a mix of irony as well.
Well, because of course, not everyone understands. Not everyone gets how you can. Well, how do you joke about topics like disability? But if it weren't for my sense of humor, I don't know where I would be. I definitely wouldn't be sitting here because it saves me, it helps me. And I love, again, dark humor.
Listen, I'll briefly tell you how I met Lulia. We were looking for bloggers here in Kazan who could share their experiences with their knowledge about life and, in doing so, to lighten, first of all, my long speech. And on the other hand, they showed certain resources and opportunities that a person can realize through their own intellect, maybe mental, emotional, or physical. And my guys, the team, introduced me to Lilia. And I love dark humor, yes. When does Lilia start joking about disability, about her body, jokes that, from a positive perspective, maybe no one except Igor supported Lilia regarding dark humor, which is a shame. Lilia calls it dark humor. Actually, it's a skill at the level of self-regulation. To pull yourself out of a state of self-pity and self-destruction. And it's a tool that stimulates your psyche to have a healthy attitude towards yourself and life. At the same time, most people completely don't know how to relate to disabled individuals appropriately. They either look away or pretend to show incredible empathy and compassion. Lili, how do you, dear God, deal with this? I don't understand. Do you understand? People with disabilities don't want to be treated like that. They want to feel just as normal. So what if I have a different body? And who said that's not normal? Well, for me, that's normal. That's how I live. This is my normal way of life. Just because someone isn't like you, it doesn't mean it's shameful or inappropriate. We don't know how to relate to death appropriately. We don't know how to relate to life appropriately. And Lilia is one of those people, one of those women, who has learned to relate to her body appropriately without neglecting it or destroying it through self-destruction, but at the same time knows how to stimulate the life functions that give her strength, not just to live, but also to become a wonderful example of how to live in the conditions that you find yourself in. Because I get everything I want. Well, not everyone gets everything they want. But if we talk about the fact that at 29, Lilia gathers the courage and goes to Kazan to live alone, obviously understanding that this is not an easy decision for her. It's a wish. Yeah. And Tila said something like, wow, we're going to go now.
Well, yeah. And she said things like, maybe you shouldn't. What if you can't handle it? What will you do if suddenly, Mom isn't around? Well, that was the case too, but the desire was there, yes. Because I thought about it for 2 years, I really wanted it. And my mom didn't think about it at all. Mom thought I would be with her my whole life. And when I told her that either I rent an apartment or we buy an apartment in Kazan, because I definitely won't stay here. I never really liked the guys.
Listen, let's talk about the body. But since you are in really limited physical capabilities, well, your body has limited your abilities. At the same time, you manage to earn money. As far as I know, yes.
Well, yeah, I work at a production center in sighted people, and they help me monetize my content.
So they help you monetize your content?
Yeah,
And you perform there as a blogger?
Well, yeah, they pay me for the content.
And how much does it cover your monthly income?
Well, it's enough for me.
And can you please tell me about this story regarding dark humor? And when you run away from a position of self-destruction to self-creation, how did you even come to that? You probably went through some kind of crisis, like, how can you even live like that?
Well, of course, yes. And sometimes, yes, there are times when I still feel like giving up. Right? But for me, in general, we as people always have a choice. Either be a victim your whole life, feel sorry for yourself, or pull yourself together and achieve or take off or under. Yeah. I recently chose to rise.
And when you start to fall, when it feels like the world is crumbling, when it feels like your body is saying, that's it, enough already, what are you doing?
I allow myself to experience this. So for some reason, I don't have that feeling of forcing myself like that. I allow myself to experience this moment. I say, okay, right now I'm feeling bad, I'm struggling.
You even have videos where you cry, you just start recording.
Yeah, so I keep track of it. And I say, right now I'm going to cry a little, feel a bit. And then that's it. We move on. So I try not to dive too deep into it.
So you don't suppress it, and that makes the process happen faster. It's like going to the bathroom like an adult, yeah.
Well, you could say that, yes.
And then, when you have an emotional release, what do you do next?
Well, I start to distract myself. So it's about building there, ideas, plans, what I'm going to do, what video should I shoot. Sometimes in moments like these, insights come, for example, about what I would like to talk about. That's why I'm all for experiencing emotions. We talked about it today. Any emotions should be felt, not trying to smooth them over or shove them away somewhere. No. So if you're angry or feeling bad, experience that moment. You don't need to shove all of that away, because it will come back anyway, and twice as much.
Do you think it makes sense to unload this on people? Well, straight up, if I'm angry right now, I'm going to tear everyone apart.
It's better not to do it that way. Better to do it somehow over there.
A mug wall, right?
Yeah. Well, at home you can break some dishes. I don't know.
Have you ever broken any dishes?
I haven't, but I wanted to.
So how do you let out your anger?
Well, I tear up paper sometimes.
You tear up paper? Yeah. And you're angry at... Look, there's anger right there. Who has seen the movie Substance? Listen, they say it's a terrible movie, but I fell in love with it, I'm being honest. It's shown so clearly there. Did you see Substance?
No, but I want to watch it.
I don't want to promote the movie, but it's about how our originality exists. Life, self-perception. There are things that we carry outside and show to people. And how we steal from our own lives, from our own resources, just draining. and we end up in a state of self-destruction. And this story, when the main character starts to hit herself right in front of the mirror, she hates her reflection in the mirror. She wants, I don't know, to peel her skin off, to not perceive herself as she is. This story is about how we, not knowing how to express our anger, either pour it out on people or direct it towards our own bodies. It's like poison that starts to destroy us from the inside. We start to blame ourselves, scold ourselves, accuse ourselves, torture ourselves. You didn't do it right, you didn't do that, you should have done it this way. And why are you like that? Yeah, you'll never be able to do that, and so on. Do you have moments like that when you have such complaints about your body?
Yeah, I have that too. Well, it used to be really intense, especially when you go on Instagram and see all these beautiful girls, and you with your extraordinary body proportions. But that's the main thing, how you feel about yourself. It's just a feeling. It's just a body. And I feel like a beautiful girl.
You're a lovely girl.
Well, long-legged, slim, and so on. And it's just a body. I recently had bilateral pneumonia, and after that, well, as I'm speaking now, I get goosebumps. My opinion about my body has completely changed. I am incredibly grateful for what my body feels. Do you understand? So, goosebumps touches the fact that we breathe, we see. This body gives us that, but for some reason we devalue it. We compare ourselves to other people, but in reality, our body is the most precious thing we have. And it doesn't matter that I don't have a figure like Kim Kardashian. My butt, yeah. It's not like Kim's, and that's okay.
I hear you. Well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's not about how the body looks. It looks cool, really. Cool to look cool. Who would argue, right? What's important is that we experience life through our bodies. You just said things that really have immense value. And why did that happen after pneumonia?
I just had a tough time. It was really hard, and I got sick, and it was tough for me too. But honestly, I was just glad to be alive. So after that, while I was lying in the hospital, I had this realization that my body helped me. Once she got out of it, she managed. And I didn't understand that at all. I've had those moments too when it's like that, Kay, but here. Well, why is it like this? Especially when these beauty standards are imposed on you. It weighs on you when you run a blog and people write things about your body.
I also get such nasty comments.
I think it doesn't affect me, everything's fine, but it still does. And then when I was sick, I realized that my body managed and I was just devaluing it.
So how is that? I mean, during the illness, you suddenly reevaluated the essence of life like that. Here's life, and that's the whole joy of it. And everything else because...
Yeah, and life is just so valuable. Why don't we understand this again? We live, but it's so valuable and it's fragile and very short. When we're 20, we think, oh, I'll live just fine. I'm 29, and I also think, well, there's still time, right? But you never know when it will all end. So really, appreciate life.
Enjoy it. Listen, there was this story about how they didn't show the video. When you have this dark humor where you say, do I have the right to joke about myself? Yeah. What's your favorite joke about yourself?
Oh, well, probably about 50 rubles for 50 rubles. And every time I sit outside, this happens to me. People come up and shove money at me. And mostly it's 50 rubles. I'm definitely like, no, Well, it's funny because I have an electric wheelchair and I have an iPhone, so I'm holding an iPhone in my hands. And you really think I need 50 rubles? So I'm getting angry. I tell my mom, what does it say here? I need this. Like, 50 rubles is the price.
Do you know why people do that? Well, you wonder why. Well, yeah, what do you think? Why?
Well, to help somehow. Well, I also joke about it, like to deal with my sins somehow.
People don't know how to behave.
Well, that's true too.
They don't know, and they see a beautiful girl, and they feel sympathy. They think, well, I need to express this sympathy somehow. Listen, you should take that 50 rubles. So I took it and said, well, honestly, why not? Well, if they give me 50 rubles, I should take it. And people, they give it from the heart. Well, seriously, next time, just take it. And overall, it's cool. I went out for a walk and ended up making 200 rubles. People don't know how to behave, but I think they should be encouraged for that. Encourage them and try conducting a social experiment. If people give, say, thank you so much, I really appreciate it, it's nice, I happily spend it, and film this video for yourself. I think this won't be dark humor anymore, but rather a constructive form of collaboration. And film this video for yourself. And I think that this won't be dark humor anymore, but rather a constructive form of collaboration when you teach people to treat those with disabilities. Not crooked like this. Like, it feels like I stole 50 rubles and just handed it over and it lightened my heart. I walked past and I thought, God, I don't know what else I could have done for her. Like, she's a normal, healthy person just like me. We don't go out to the streets to people. Well, it's like with anyone else, like for 50 rubles. Yeah, exactly. I don't look good with this 50 rubles. People don't know how to behave. They need to be taught. This is a story about a social experiment. They need to be trained to have a proper dialogue with people with disabilities. And this can only be built through dialogue. So we need to gain experience.
What do you think? That's a good idea. It should get a lot of views on Instagram.
I think it will get a lot of views on Instagram. It will boost the rating. Yeah. And we can also conduct a social experiment. Just approaching people on the street and saying, 50 rubles. Yeah. Can you imagine how it will be? So you approach and say, excuse me, I decided that you need this today. This is going to be explosive. Yes. When we change stereotypes, when we change reality, when our body becomes our tool, it becomes our expression, it becomes our success, it becomes our opportunities, it becomes our success, it becomes our opportunities. And I think that Lili and I will be collaborating. We have a charity fund, we have a public organization. I think that from the perspective of the social climate, it's very important to create a supportive environment for people with disabilities because they are just like everyone else. Yes, they need more attention. They need help because our environment is not adapted to their way of life. It's a way of life, that's how it is. But that doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. That doesn't mean we should pity them endlessly. And actually, to be grateful for the fact that we have such people in our society. It's great that such people exist. They give us a chance to be better, to learn from them, because the mentorship of such people is invaluable. It's the coolest thing when a person, being in such a physical state, has the strength, wisdom, and the ability to inspire us, the healthy ones, to have a proper attitude towards life. We can really learn a lot about life from these people. It's the coolest thing when a person, being in such a physical state, has the strength, wisdom, and the ability to inspire us, the healthy ones, to have a proper attitude towards life. These people have a lot to teach us about life. And not shyly looking away, just shoving them 50 rubles to feel better about yourself. Is it pressing? Of course. What kind of summary message would you like to convey? For those in the audience and those who will watch the recording, should I leave it?
I want to say that disability is, first and foremost, about your feelings. You can be a completely healthy person. Being physically disabled is just that. It's a way of life. And you always choose for yourself every day. So how can I put it? It's not about being physical. It's about your mind, your thinking, your thoughts. So be healthy both physically and mentally. And I wish you all the best.
And emotionally, willing.
Yes, emotionally. Thank you so much.